Welcome into Celtics Late Night. Ben Vallis here, along with Jake Eisenberg. And Jake, the Celtics are now 7-1. Jason Tatum is awesome in a headband, and Jordan Walsh is continuing his game-by-game micro-progressions, is what I'm calling it. Jake, how's it going, man?
What a day. It's beautiful. It is sunny. I went for a swim in between the end of the game and this show. I sweated out 2 of my fantasy football league wins. If you haven't heard, if I come last in either of these leagues, I either have to spend 24 hours inside of a McDonald's, or the other league is run a half marathon and drink 6 beers at the same time. And these 2 wins are huge. The Celtics are 7-0. Jason Tatum might be the leader in the MVP race. Hit the Celtics parlay between Tatum assists and Pritchard points and Derrick White points. Like, the Knicks lost. Like, this is good, man. I'm feeling very good.
This is a great idea, too, from Irene in the chat. We need a first of the floor headband session in the chat. We missed Halloween. I was thinking about coming to the stream dressed as Larry Bird, but thought a little cringe of it in the end. But nice headband idea. It's a little more quaint. It's a little more achievable. So maybe we can do that. I'm excited for you, Jake. That's
Thank
huge.
You.
Let's parlay that energy, speaking of parlays, into a good late night show here. Shout out to everyone in the chat filing in. Hope you enjoyed the Garden Report. We're going to throw this one up on the podcast feed as well. Just, 30-point win. You got to spread the love, spread the vibe. So we'll take this again and parlay the audio up onto the podcast feed. Am I using the term parlay correctly? I think I might be.
Yeah, parlays. Just wrap it all into some goodness or some badness if you lose the parlay. But,
sure. Yeah, we'll run with that. So obviously the win today, 30-point win, and some wins within the wins, I think is where I want to start, Jake. So like corrections or pivots in the sort of small sample size issues that have been bothering us so far this season. So huge win for the Jason Tatum shot selection concern cohort, which is led by us. Yes. Let's ignore 1 for 8 in the third quarter and just go with the generally efficient, holistic view on the game.
Well, correct.
Oh, yeah, and then 5 assists in the third quarter when he did sort of realize, and this is what we're looking for, real-time, reactive, in the moment. Shit, my shot's not going in. I am Jason Tatum, so I am still going to jack up 8 in the third quarter and only hit 1 of them, but for the most part, I'm going to change my approach to the game, react to how the defense is throwing looks at me on the fly, and dish out 5 assists in the first quarter. But overall, 28 points, 6 boards, 9 assists, 2 steals, and 1 turnover. Good for a 9-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio, which is what you love to see, Jake. Amazing Jason Tatum game. One of the best so far this year.
Yeah, man. Headband Tatum, I feel like we've got to try and pull those numbers, try and get IT on that. But like it's he's really good with a headband. He's really good in general. And the Hawks are definitely, it was good to see us like fully take advantage of the soft schedule. Like obviously we won. We're 7-1. And we've taken advantage of the soft schedule. But like to fully take advantage, like the Charlotte games, especially the second one, felt like it was about to be a 50-point blowout. Kind of let them hang around, similar to that first Charlotte game. But this one, it was like, once it gets above 30, that's when I start to like struggle to calculate the lead. And that's usually a good sign over the past kind of like 12 plus months when it comes to Celtics games, is when I start losing track of how to calculate the score. It means that good things are happening. Yes. Yeah, but Tatum, I mean, the ones that 14 threes, a lot of threes. And I saw that he was asked about it in the post game, and he's like, "I'm not going to a game trying to shoot 14 threes," but he's like, "Some of them were heat checks." I'm like, "Yeah, some of them are often heat checks." Yeah. And your just definition of heat check is make one, and now I've earned 2 heat checks. So
absolutely minimum.
Yeah. I would say I have to go back and watch all 14 attempts, but I would say at least 10 of them were good looks. Does the defender impact the contest? That's how I've decided to classify them between good and bad. There's obviously other factors at play like score and time. You can't really ding him for score and time in this game when you're playing against the Hawks. So sure. removing that criteria, I thought most of them were totally fine. But man, he's in complete control tonight. Like, and the 9 assists say that, but he was like picking on guys, got downhill. We've got a play that we clocked in underrated plays where the possession kind of broke down. Drew had the ball at the top of the key, and Tatum just goes over and sets a screen. Well, he sets a ghost screen and slips into the middle, and then makes a play from there. And it's just like, I love that this evolution of Tatum. Like, he knows how to get possessions out of the mud in ways that he wasn't able to previously.
Yeah, that play completely broke down. You're right. And then he just like surveyed the court in an instant, ran to set that screen, ghosted it, and then the rest unfolded from there. So definitely look out for that in the next iteration of underrated plays. If you want to check out the one we put out like 2 days ago, the link is below in the description. Go check it out. Hit that like button, show us some love, and hopefully you enjoy it as well because we put a lot of work into those and we love doing them. So look out for more coming up. So that's micro win number one, win within a win number one. Jason Tatum just starting to foray a little bit away from the concerning shot selection. Micro win number 2, transition defense. 34-5, fast break point disparity. Only 12% of Atlanta's possessions were in transition, and they were, I didn't record this stat, but like horribly inefficient when they did get out running. So it's good to see the Celtics sort of turn off the tap there as far as teams really slicing us up. And I'll pair in another micro win with that. So defense in the paint and at the rim in this game. Hawks, 65% of the rim. That's only 48th percentile. That's pretty terrible. 37% from the short mid-range area as well. Also quite terrible. We now have, Cleaning the Glass have updated the league-wide stats after that game. We now have the 7th ranked defense in the league per Cleaning the Glass. I believe it was a little bit lower after that. And of course, we've got the first ranked offense where we're getting closer, ascending towards that, both in the top 5 range, which is, by the way, what the Warriors currently have at the moment, the 2nd ranked defense and the 5th ranked offense, I believe. So we'll talk about that a little bit later, but things starting to trend upwards, Jake, after another one of these micro wins in this one.
Yes, the defense was much better and definitely like trending in the right direction for all of Charlotte's and Atlanta's faults. They are absolutely good offensive teams. Charlotte was top 5 coming in. I'm not sure what Atlanta was coming into tonight. It would definitely have dropped. They are now 19th, but anytime you've got Trae Young out there, he's typically good for a top 10 offense. But the defense was fantastic. So if you look at just NBA.com, which does not filter out garbage time.
Just saw your tweet and I was like, I'm wrong.
No. If you don't filter out garbage time, then the Celtics have the 5th best defense.
Dude, it's way better for the agenda. Let's go with that.
Yeah. And I tweeted it, and then I heard you say that. I'm like, I guess whatever. It doesn't matter which place you get it. You just choose the better number. But either way, 7th is good. 7th is good. I actually predicted when I wrote about the Celtics defense for Celtics blog recently that they would finish the season with the 7th best defense after cruising. If the betting markets were to set the odds on like where the Celtics defense is probably going to finish, I think they would set it at like 3.5. And it's like, I think top 3/top 4, top 5 would be kind of surprising, but I just kind of baking in some regular season malaise. But to see them crank it up a little bit, I thought outside of the first quarter, they were really good. And like across the board, I thought Pritchard, honestly, was really good. And this is part of the problem with attacking the Celtics. Is like, where do you attack? And Pritchard, is that guy at times. And I thought he held up against like the Hawk triplets is what I call them. The Dyson Daniels, Risa Shea, Jalen Johnson trio. They all kind of looked the same to me. And I thought he held up really well in the post. I'm like, firstly, none of those guys are good post players to begin with. And I'm like, if you want to bog down your offense and post up Peyton Pritchard, who I reckon if they were to do like a strength competition with those 3 guys, I think Pritchard would at worst finish 3rd out of 4, beating Risa Shea, and potentially also finish ahead of Dyson and maybe even Jalen Johnson. He's a sturdy, strong dude. And like, you better have like a real post game if you actually want to attack him in the post. And then I thought help coming across was really good. Even on an Onyeka Okongwu attack, I thought Pritchard came across late and just forced like the shot to be a little more difficult. I think Okongwu may have even made it. But his defense actually stood out to me as well as his offensive clinic, which we're getting used to at this point.
Yeah, not scram switching him out of those post-up situations that he found himself in, which does, like, it poses its own risk. If you do try and scram out, you can occasionally get caught in rotation. The ball moves faster than the defenders do. And him just staying true, staying home, everyone's staying home, and then the help coming, as you said, perfectly timed. And like credit basically everyone on the team in that aspect of our defense, especially Neemias Queta, I thought, Al Horford, Jordan Walsh late in the game with their well-timed help and helping out Peyton Pritchard when he got caught on a bigger wing play or big there down on the block. So that's good to see. And I feel like this year I haven't sort of shrugged to myself thinking, okay, fuck, like what do we do with Pritchard in this situation? This team is just going at him. We have to bench him. He did get benched early in the Pistons game, but on rewatch, like I didn't necessarily see him being gone at by the Pistons offense too much in that game either. So maybe that had something that was to do with something else entirely. But yeah,
I think that was a mistake. I think Joe fucked that up and he's completely corrected it since then. And that's okay.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like teams are going at him, or if they are, like where we've got too many ways to scheme around it. It feels like so. That's really good to see, because if that's not going to be something that sees his minutes cut short, then he's just going to be able to cook, and his minutes are trending upwards. His scoring is trending upwards. He's still favored among all eligible players as Sixth Man of the Year. So the Pritchard ascension, the PP ascension, it's huge.
Ooh, we are at attention. That is for damn sure. Man, look.
Standing at a full salute.
He is cooking, dude. And he wasn't all threes today as well. Like of his 7 made field goals, only 3 of them were threes. I mean, a pedestrian 37.5% 3 for 8 from 3 for Pritchard.
Can't have that.
I mean, what are we doing? Honestly, the 3 turnovers, I don't like to see that from Pritchard, because he's kind of like the assist to turnover king. But I like he gave you 18 3 boards, 4 assists, and a steal, man. Like, he's really come into his own. Like, it's early in the season. Is this kind of just like a hot start? But, you know, he is entering his prime, and he has got the biggest role he's had essentially since his rookie year. Might even be a bigger role if I'd have to look at the minutes total. But, like, he's playing 25, 30 minutes a night the last few games here and absolutely earning the minutes. Like, this is a really valuable player to have coming off the bench, especially like fit-wise with Missoula Ball. And him and Tatum played really well off each other. Like, weaponizing PP off of JT is really effective. Tatum, I think, really likes looking for him. And yeah, Pritchard's truly impressing me at the moment.
Yeah, and the 4 assists is pretty high for him, I feel like, in terms of how we utilize him off the bench. And you guys were talking about this yesterday or the day before when you and Spoonie did a pod, but there's no Pritchard shot or look from anywhere that I don't like, where I'm not like, absolutely like pull up, hit that from basically anywhere over the half-court line, which is a great feeling to have when watching anyone play. And for the most part, he's true. Like, this game may be a somewhat of an outlier. Like you said, only 37.5% from 3, but absolutely cooking. You love to see it. The only other sort of micro win I jotted down from this one, Jake, was the fact that we held Trae Young to like 0 points. So Dick Leip had this. The Celtics had held Trae Young to 2 points tonight, ending his streak of 70 straight games with at least 10 points and 5 assists. It was the 4th longest such streak in NBA history. Trae Young, 1 of 10 from the field. Didn't matter. I've got some excuses here that I can run. He did get injured. Absolutely. Left with a strained rib. But it didn't matter if we went under the screens, over, play drop, switched. Just felt like we're always able to get a contest. Like you can see if you're watching on YouTube, like Neemi stay with him and get a contest up on that step back 3. And there was another possession I think that might be coming up where Neemi sticks with him. Here we go. And that, you know, if your 4th rotation big can stick with like an all-star, you know, twitchy guard like Trae Young, then defense is going to look good. Man,
that's just really impressive, dude. Queta, again, on the pick and roll with Trae Young, just like staying in good position, staying down. Really love to see. I mean, obviously, I wonder if he would have come back into the game if it wasn't like a 20-point blowout at that point. Like, if it's close, does Trae Young come back in that game? The other micro win, if you're tracking this, Derrick White, potential all-star, another 21-point game for Derrick White. That moves him up to 19 points per game, 4.4 rebounds, and 4 assists. So I think 24-4 on the season would be like enough to give him a nod. So that's the stat line I'm chasing every single night. Happened to also have Derrick White 20-plus points in the parlay, and Joe Mazzulla inexplicably left Derrick White in the game until he got those points. So Mazzulla's really looking out for me, which I appreciate. But D. White, man, I've been calling for more Derrick White usage. was I calling for it, or was we just talking about it in the Discord? I think Steven in the Discord was talking about it. But can we just like keep scaling Derrick White up until he's not a 50, 40, 90 guy? Like, he's just so efficient. Can we just keep scaling him up and see what happens?
What's the threshold? Yeah.
Yeah, like eventually it will come down, I would assume. But like, let's just keep Dion Waiters, his famous quote was, "I'd rather finish a game 1 for 30 as opposed to 1 for 9 or something, or and because it's like that means I lost confidence." This is like, I guess, kind of the opposite. I'd rather a Derrick White finish like 4 for 11 as opposed to 4 for 9. Let's just see, like, is he just going to continue to be a 40+% 3-point shooter? Let's utilize this absurd efficiency until there's some sort of tipping point, because 21.6 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, 1 block. And obviously this is coming in conjunction with no KP, but also especially no Jaylen. And like, I'm not trying to feed into the Celtics are better without Jaylen Brown stuff. But Derrick White getting more opportunity, like 16 field goals tonight, that's well above. Like he's averaging 13.6 on the season. So I think getting him into that at least 15 field goal range would be nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we were saying it during instant reactions. Derrick White is one of 3 people that Joe kind of trusts to run a lineup or run an offense and a defense at that. And Jaylen Brown is one of them, and he's out. So we saw a lot of Derrick and whoever line up tonight. And despite like Derrick running the show more than he normally would, he finished a team high plus 31. So like those Derrick White led lineups. Obviously, he played a lot of time with Tatum as well, which helps. But Derrick did more than okay. And sometimes I think it can be misconstrued as us shitting on Jaylen Brown. It's nothing to do with the absence of Jaylen Brown. It's more just the added presence of more Derrick White is always going to lead to more things. So yeah, it'd be interesting to create like a universe offshoot and just go in that direction with Derrick White and see how that turned out. Like Kramer driving the car past empty. How far can you go until the car conks out? Probably never in Derrick White's case, but Derrick was awesome. Drew Holiday, also awesome. Elevated to, I guess, the third option. It's like already we gasp at how effective he is and how lucky we are to have him as the 5th option. Bumping up to the third option in this game. Very efficient, just picking his spots nicely. 7 of 11 from the floor, good for 16 points. And just kind of like not noticeable, which similar to Marcus Smart, this is sometimes where you get the best Drew games. He'll just like hit his open threes, he'll swing the ball, he'll stay true on defense, and then you kind of never really notice him beyond that point. And that's really the ideal version of like 34-year-old Drew, Jake. Yeah,
I like that comp. When you don't notice. And I think it was definitely more pronounced when it came to Marcus. Like,
oh yeah,
if you like, there would just be like, well, we got a lot of Marcus on the screen at the moment, and it was always like the 10 field goals was kind of the sweet spot when it came to Marcus. I definitely think that can ring true a little bit for Drew. Yeah, did a lot of his damage in the paint today. Had a beautiful someone found him under like kind of right under the basket, and he flipped it up, and it fell right through. Yeah, really solid. I'm not sure if he's the 3rd option. I think he might be even the 4th behind Peyton Pritchard.
Yeah, but wow, what a world we live in.
I know. Maybe co 3rd options between Pritchard with 12 field goal attempts, Drew with 11. But again though, and only 23 minutes and 30 seconds playing time for like this. That's another microcosm win. 1 net rating, massive win. 30-point win, good for the offense, good for the defense. Huge. Al Horford, 22 minutes. Drew Holiday, 23 minutes. And then I'm not really too concerned about Tatum playing 30 minutes. He's, especially that type of 30 minutes, it's not exactly tough work. So beautiful, should be relatively well rested for the Warriors game, I would say. Al looked spry. Maybe we move there next. But yeah, nice little just like little warm-up game for the Warriors.
Yeah, Tatum, like definitely not exactly barreling into the lane. He did have a really spicy, like strong finish and one in the first half. But yeah, 30 minutes on many 3-point attempts and very few, albeit efficient, good looks from within the paint. That's kind of what you want to see in 30 minutes from your best player. But Al Horford, never looking as spry in his entire life as he did on this particular play.
Yeah. Horford finishes. Oh, baby. In the time machine, Al Horford back in Atlanta.
Love this play. Horford looking to elevate. Oh, look at that.
Drew just nailed the call as well.
He nailed the call. Are you kidding, dude? Oh, Al Horford in the time machine back in Atlanta, where he spent his career, obviously. I don't need to explain why he nailed the fucking call, obviously, but...
That really just occurred to me now.
Okay, good. I'm glad. Because
Thank you for that.
like I'm like obviously time machine because he's looking spry, but also the time machine because he's in Atlanta. Like just absolute chef's kiss on that one. But what a play, dude! Caught it all in one movement. Kyrie Irving under the hoop, with the English off the glass. It was beautiful, and he was just very solid today in general. But that play, see, it's always in there. It's always in there for Al. You know. Cranked it up for us, 3 for 4 from the field. A nice transition 3. 9 points, 5 boards, 3 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks. Someone
at your door.
Someone.
Okay.
My wife's like
There goes the
jumping
wife.
across this. So it's all happening here.
Amazing.
But Al Horford, very spry performance across the board here.
We talked about and celebrated the Celtics responding on the fly to the Hawks defense. We've just seen that happen in the Eisenberg household.
Right.
You love to see it. But yeah, Al Horford, look at the hang time. Look at the flying motion. How did the old fella stay up there that long? It was amazing. But maybe the stat of the game, you touched on it, 22 minutes for Al Horford. I know somewhere Spoonie is fast asleep right now with a big smile on his face. And a solitary tear running down his face. Al Horford barely played. You love to see it. Now we start to get more in the reads here a little bit on this one, Jay, because like really just a cruisy win. The Celtics, I think, one of the bigger takeaways as we get to close to the 10-game mark, which is really the first junction of the season where you can zoom out and be like, okay, like how is the season playing out? What are the themes? What do things look like so far? The Celtics kind of cruising successfully so throughout the regular season, but like where we've seen that is like in their defense and less drives and way more threes and things like that. Otherwise referred to as Missoula ball a little bit, but definitely cruising in this game. It felt like as well, like it didn't feel like a really hard fought win, despite the fact that they won by so many points. So it's difficult to nitpick narratives out of that, aside from the really obvious. Do we want to get to Jordan Walsh? Because we talked about micro wins within the vacuum of a single game, but the micro progressions, as I referred to it earlier with Jordan Walsh, like he has improved so much. This is game 8. He's improved so much since like game 2, which was his first game of the season.
It's beautiful. Lovely to see. No one is happier than first to the floor, to both the audience and the hosts, especially the defense. This has been something that we've obviously been tracking. It's like he obviously came in as a defensive guy. It was the 6'7" wingspan and the athleticism. Like defense is this guy's thing. And he honestly has struggled to stay in front of guys like Summer League last year, I don't really remember, but the most recent Summer League, staying in front of guys this season. But today, he was legit locking guys up. The play of the game was definitely when Risa Shea, the number 1 overall pick, had him ISO'd at the top of the wing and just tries to drive to the middle with the right-hand dribble, and Walsh gets those long go gadget arms in there. He stood up in the post against... was it Jalen Johnson? But yeah, and just really active defensively, not only staying in front of guys if he does get beaten, recovering, using those long arms to contest, getting in there for rebounds, 4 rebounds today, 1 offensive. He had a block on a fadeaway as well. Like he was really good defensively. And that was something that we hadn't seen yet. And the offense is still a work in progress. But I'll start with the defense, Ben. I think that was clearly like the big takeaway today.
Well, yeah, he just, in my mind, like fully replaced O'Shea, which maybe I'm not like correctly remembering O'Shea's impact from last year, but just as far as what we need from him, which is someone to come in and like very much hold their own defensively. And you called it, like when he does get beat, he's got those Dulcim from Street Fighter arms where he can just give the old reach around. In this case, much more productive on a basketball court, uses it to pop the ball out rather than anything more nefarious. But yeah, love to see it from Walsh. If he gets beat, he can, I'll stop there. Shit. But yeah, and then like the shot, the poise, the confidence offensively, that sort of thing is clearly coming around. Obviously, that's not translating to like made corner threes. You had that great and one tonight, strong finish. Missed the free throw, unfortunately. But again, micro progressions is what we're calling them. So that'll come in time. But what we're seeing really here in real time, in a short period of time as well, how Walsh is improving as the game slows down for him. And it just gives me more confidence that there's more to come on the offensive side. But we've known that his main characteristic as a pro has been on the defensive end. And as that ability to stay in front of guys develops, or to recover as that develops as well, you can really start to see like a good lane for him. And, we talked about Jason Tatum only playing 30 minutes per game. Sam Hauser only played 20. He's still working his way back into form and sort of recalibrating that jump shot as he comes back from the back injury. Like, this is where you need Walshy to fill in those gaps so that Hauser can recover, so that Jason Tatum can limit his minute load to be prepped for the Warriors in a couple of days' time. And Walshy is like proven, I think, to be more than sufficient in that role, which is the O'Shea role. So that's great news.
Yeah, the O'Shea role was not a ton of offense. O'Shea's value offensively was offensive rebounding, and that was he was a pretty good cutter. I give it to O'Shea. He was quite good at making himself available when someone would make a move into the paint and maybe get stuck. He was definitely available for some dump offs, and O'Shea has just played a lot more minutes than Walsh. I think O'Shea was 26 or 27 at this point as well. So, but yeah, the role is just play solid on defense and be active offensively. O'Shea shot 27% from 3 last year, so the bar is not very high for Walsh to at least match that. And he's getting up, mate. He shot 2 threes tonight. Yeah. I would love for him to crack 30% from 3. I've been moving that number down every game pretty much. I was like, 35 would be sick. 33 would be awesome. If we could stay above 30% for the season, would be great. But so the Celtics have played 8 games. Walsh has played in 7 of them, and he's averaging 10.8 minutes per game. Dude's playing 11 minutes a night right now for our guy Walshy, dude. That's so exciting.
If you told me it's Summer League, this is where we'd be, I'd be over the moon. So it's all about expectations. What is it? Disappointment equals reality minus expectation. So I might be messing up that equation a little bit, but it's something like that. So love to see it from Walshy. Good work, mate. As far as we're really nitpicking at this point, we had another poor showing from Tillman. I thought it was pretty good defensively, and Cater came out early so that we could switch with Tillman, but then offensively, it's like he's just giving up so much. We had a lot more advantageous looks with Nemi out there. By the way, Derrick White's 3 turnovers. I think all of them were just shit passes to Nemi. So I'm scrubbing those from the record.
They don't count.
But Nemi is just so much more multi-dimensional offensively. And if Tillman's just not going to offer us anything there, and I think he airballed another 3 tonight, problematic. I think he'll come good, but poor start to the season so far.
Yeah, I think it's nothing to be alarmed about. He's not like Walsh, or he's not like Baylor Shireman. We can talk about him if we want to as well, because I see people in the chat being like, "What's the deal with Baylor?" We can hit that.
We can do it.
But Tillman has a legit sample size of playing in the NBA. He has played multiple years, multiple thousands of minutes for the Grizzlies, played solid in the finals. Unless he's physically something's gone wrong, which is possible, as a dude that came into the NBA with red flags medically, came to the Celtics with an injury, got a knee scope in the offseason. This is a thing with Tillman. So that's potentially what's going on, is just his body is just a little behind where it needs to be right now. So, he's definitely not playing too many minutes where wearing down would be a problem. So, I don't know, everything just seems to be moving a little fast for him at the moment. And I don't know if that's a lack of comfort in the system. He hasn't been here that long, hasn't played that many minutes. So that could totally be part of it. But he hasn't looked good. He's the only player. He came in and he was a -3. Part of that was the garbage time minutes as well. So I'm not going to hold that against him or anything. But yeah, I would say of the big men tonight, Tillman, you got probably want to rank 3rd. And we hit on Cater a little bit, but Cater easily won we won. Of the 3 guys, if you were to tell me that 8 games ago that Cater would be having the best performance out of Tillman and Luke Cornett, then
across multiple games now.
Across multiple games, I'd be both concerned and happy, I think. And
stunned.
And I think it stands. I am both concerned and happy.
I still think if today some devil stood on my shoulder and said you can only choose one of those 3 bigs going forward into the next 2 years, I'd probably still choose Tillman for the longevity of what he should become for this team, and for just purely, if nothing else, his switchability in the playoffs. It'd still be Tillman. But for right now, we talked about eating regular season minutes and production. Nemi is doing way better than the other 2 in that sense. And like properly solid as a rim protector. We talked about the switching on the Trae Young, which is just unbelievable. I don't expect that to hold up throughout the season, and certainly not on Steph Curry in a couple of days' time. God forbid that happens. But yeah, I mean, this is just what you need. You need little pockets of productivity from like deep bench guys throughout the season to remain successful, especially in like year 2 of a multi-year title chase. So he's completely blown away my expectations, but I'm certainly not disappointed.
Yeah, look, we got people in the chat weighing in. Moz Neff has taken he's taken Nemi, and I got to see more switching. I really want to see more switching, because if he can figure out that, because so much of it is just staying down, like he's and just reacting after they make a move, like because he's so long and big, he can get contests late by reacting once they finally commit to shooting or passing or whatever it may be. So as he gets more comfortable in general, but if he can settle down in the switching, his feet are obviously slow, but again, because he's covering so much ground with each step and able to reach so far with his 9-foot wingspan, he's able to recover. Like those switches on Trae Young are serious. And so I really want to see more, because if he's able to get the switching down, then that kind of just changes his career as a basketball player, honestly. Yeah. And Jake looks like a Jordan Walsh in the chat. Appreciate you.
Huge compliment.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you. And
so the finishing around the rim too, I think, for Cater, which even if he nailed one of those two facets of the game, he'd be rocketing off into unaffordable territory. I think we've got him locked up for at least one more year. Yeah. But the staying on his feet, the switching, and the finishing at the rim.
When he gets into the paint with the ball in his hands, he's like kind of fades and does a hook shot. He needs to just like, I'm not a big man coach or anything, but he needs to like go towards the basket, essentially.
I feel like that's sound advice.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like he's fading away, or just like try and go through guys a little bit more, because like maybe he figures that hook shot out, but it is not a high percentage look for him.
It feels like his goal is just to reset the shot clock and not to score points. And there's a huge difference there. But look, again, micro progressions, and we're seeing it from Nemi as well as Jordan Walsh. We're so like all of this, by the way, while KP just like lays in weight as well, just getting secretly amazingly healthy and hitting new benchmarks that have never been imposed on him before, from what we're hearing from the Celtics media team and trainer team there. I'm kind of out of, I suppose we need to hit Baylor Scheinman, because he got like a chunk of minutes, 8 minutes, 21 seconds, 0 of 3, chucked up a heave at one point that was pretty brutal. But I mean, he's just having a classic, was drafted super late, rookie year. I think expectations are pretty low at this point. So in that sense, he can kind of do no wrong. Just like go out there, make your mistakes in garbage time, and we'll like see you next year / in the G League.
Yeah, I mean, it would be great if he didn't look like what he looks like right now.
That would be good.
I'll say that. Like it would be great. Like I thought he was fine at Summer League to good, not good in the preseason, and this is really the most he's played, I'm pretty sure, so far. This is really the biggest blowout the Celtics have had. That pull up 34-footer that he took with like a minute to go was absurd. And like
I kind of liked it.
I hated it, dude. I was like, what are you doing? In what world? Like everyone else was still playing the game normal. I don't understand what he was thinking. Like you haven't made a shot, I don't think. I mean, I know he's made one basket, I think, in the regular season so far. I'm like, you haven't made a 3 yet. And you're like, maybe he's thinking this running, leaning 34-footer from the logo is the shot that goes in, because these other ones aren't going in. I was just stunned. He had a nice rebound. I give him to him on that. He had one nice rebound.
Look, you're not wrong on the heave. I just think he's trying to like catch a break, and totally the wrong way to go about it. But at that juncture in the game, yes, everyone was still taking the game seriously at that point. But he's just looking. He's desperate, thirsty for a bucket. Totally the wrong way to go about it. But I can see, in that split-second decision, the logic, if you can call it that, behind throwing the ball up. But yeah, not the right way to go about it, absolutely. But look, the G League season is starting up pretty soon. I don't believe it has yet, but they're in the middle of training camp, I think. So we're going to be able to catch a bit of Baylor in a different context, and hopefully see his game flourish from there. Anything else on this game? I wanted to talk about like Tatum on the Club 520 pod quickly, which I've only listened to like half of, but I thought it was pretty good. But anything else on this game?
Yeah, nothing about this game. We'll talk about the Warriors game on the Patreon pod tomorrow, and just some broader Celtic stuff tomorrow. So make sure you're signed up to the Patreon to get the bonus episode. We're going to do a deep dive on Peyton Pritchard, break down a bunch of film on Pritchard as well on the Patreon as a separate video. So make sure you're signed up. But I don't have anything else on this game. The Jeff Teague podcast was awesome.
Did you catch the whole thing?
I've got like 10 minutes to go.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm slightly past halfway. There's a few things that stood out to me, just like through the lens of Jason Tatum, like how much of I don't know if clown is the right word, but like class clown, I suppose probably is the right word when it comes to like Jeff Teague's tenure on the Celtics and just how like maybe unseriously he was taking his career at that point later in his career, and how like, fun in the locker room or whatever, but like clearly like not a championship piece. I hope I'm not speaking out of school here, but it was good to see him sort of draw that more casual side out of Jason Tatum. I thought he balanced being casual and like one of the fellas on the pod, but you can still see he's like elite level media training coming through even in that environment, which must be way more difficult to execute the media training while still coming off as one of the fellas as well.
Yes.
So just a professional at every level for Jason Tatum, even in that format.
I think this is the most personality we've seen from Tatum on camera before.
Wow.
Like, I don't. Can you think of another one? Like, I definitely
Sadly,
not the Redick. Definitely not the Redick podcast. Definitely not any of his post game stuff. Like the post championship, a little bit. Like obviously, right in the aftermath and some of that stuff. But in like extended long form, this was by far the most like relaxed and personality, I think, and these guys are really good at bringing out of him. And I think maybe my favorite part of the pod was because Evan Turner was on the pod and was talking about when he was coaching for the Celtics that he cooked JT like he cooked JT like 5-0 in one-on-one. And JT was like, this is why I had to come on the podcast. I don't like to like respond to shit because everybody's got a job, they got to do whatever, but I had to come on and be like, what is ET talking about? And he was saying that like in that season, because that was the COVID season when there were no fans in the stadium, and every day after practice, Jeff Teague, Tatum, and Evan Turner would play one-on-one. Like those three, I was like, that's such a random trio. And Tatum was like, you guys really didn't have much of a chance. Like obviously they scored. We would play for 2 hours after every practice. Like obviously they got it. Like they would win in spots. But Tatum was like, I was dusting these dudes. And Jeff Teague was like, bro, like, come on, I was scoring on you. He's like, not really. Yeah. And it was really funny. So I really enjoyed that. And also the way he talked about, they asked him about Al, because obviously Teague played with Al. Like that was when Jeff Teague got his single all-star appearance, which Tatum kind of made fun of him for. It's like, one all-star is kind of cool, I guess. Yeah. And because Jeff Teague's technically a champion as well with the Bucks. So it's like,
sure, yeah, right.
Yeah. He's like when you like do nothing on the school project, but you still get an A kind of energy.
Yeah, okay.
He's so good at making fun of himself. But yeah, they really bonded over how happy they were for Al Horford and how Tatum was like, I got all my routine, all my professionalism from Horford. And I'm like, that, like the signing of Al Horford is going to end up being, not amongst Celtics fans, I don't think, but will end up being like one of the most underrated moves in like this era of the NBA. Because I think obviously his on-court impact, like he started for the Buck. Like Tatum was like, we relied on him at 37 years old, year 17, to start for us on a championship team. So obviously like the on-court impact, he legit like was a crucial piece of a championship team, but also was the perfect mentor for Tatum and Jaylen.
Yeah, they've been playing buddies since like day one of Tatum's rookie season, right? So like we joke about him being like dad, OG, whatever, but he's like a legitimate and genuine role model across the team, but on our best player, Jason Tatum, which clearly has paid dividends. And clearly Al Horford, circus reverse layup tonight, clearly still impactful and has defeated Father Time every day since he hit his 30s, which is not something I can say for myself, unfortunately, Jake. All right, we're going to leave it there. That's going to do it for this one. Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you hit that like button. There's a bunch of you here. Hit the like button, subscribe, leave a comment, engage, help us defeat the algorithm overlords. Like Jake said, we're doing a live Patreon exclusive show tomorrow night, so sign up to the Patreon. The link is in the description below. Jake Eisenberg, love your work, man. Until next time, go Celtics.